man, we have a fun show for you guys coming up on today's edition of Vikings Out by Chat Sports. My name is Patrick Siepman, and coming up on today's show, I got 5 Vikings trade ideas. But as we go throughout this show, they are going to get more and more insane. And a little disclaimer here, please don't take this video serious. We are in the thick of things in the offseason. I just wanted to put on my crazy GM, I'm playing Madden franchise mode hat, and just go over some ludicrous trade ideas for the Minnesota Vikings, and they get even more ludicrous as this video goes on. So make sure you guys stay tuned and watch this entire thing. But you guys get creative for me first. I have some crazy trade ideas coming up here in just a second. But how about you guys? Drop your craziest trade idea in the comments section for your Minnesota Vikings. Get creative here. Pretend we're playing Madden. Don't take this video too seriously. Just having fun. I think especially right now with the times we're in Minnesota, might as well have some fun on today's show. So you guys could drop your craziest trade idea in the comments section. Now, we're going to start off with a trade idea that I don't think that's insane, and honestly, I think it's fully on the table for this offseason for your Minnesota Vikings. That just being a straight-up swap of the Vikings sending the San Francisco 49ers a 2026 third-round pick, specifically pick number 82, and the Vikings will get quarterback Mac Jones. So Mac Jones, why is he being discussed on today's show? He had a really good year for the San Francisco 49ers. They value him a whole lot, especially with Brock Purdy having a pretty lengthy injury history. Like, they value him being that high-end backup, and he had a great season. Almost completing 70% of his passes, 13 touchdowns in just 8 games, had 6 interceptions, a passer rating of 80.5, and he had a 5-3 record just manning the ship as Brock Purdy was working his way back from injury. Now, I'll dive into some pros and we'll get some cons on a potential Mac Jones trade. Number one, his contract. It would cost the Vikings damn near nothing to bring him in, around $3.5 million. So that is a huge plus of a Mac Jones trade. Also, he's got an incredibly high floor. I think this Vikings offense, and with how bad the quarterback play was this past season, they might be looking for that. Or they might be looking for a guy where it's like, hey, Kevin O'Connell knows, Justin Jefferson knows, this guy can run the offense at a very, very serviceable level. Again, the ceiling won't be too high, but the floor will be extremely high. Also get quarterback stability, which is definitely something, Kevin O'Connell's talked about it, that they are valuing a whole lot this offseason. Now, the cons of Mac Jones. The ceiling. If Mac Jones was a starter next season, the Vikings aren't making the NFC title game. They're not winning the Super Bowl. We can just call it like it is. That's the situation. And that's also why the Vikings are in a tough spot at the quarterback position this year. And, the mobility aspect of Mac Jones, he's going to need it to be all on script, on time. And he could be a very good quarterback at executing that. But if the play breaks down and you ask him to play some backyard football, again, that's not the guy you're going to be looking for. And I think if Mac Jones, was the starter for the Vikings, I think it would just mean another 9-8 season. And I'll say this, I would rather go 7-10 with J.J. McCarthy than 9-8 with Mac Jones. Because at least that would get some development for J.J. McCarthy. He would still, continue to progressive game. So, Mac Jones, I would probably say no to that trade unless it's like he truly is just a backup and J.J. is the starter. Then I would have some interest. But I think if Mac Jones gets brought in, especially for a day 2 pick, he would probably end up being the starter. All right, as we get a little crazier as we go on, how about a little Jordan Addison trade for you guys? Now, with the off-the-field stuff going on with Addison, I think the Vikings will be 110% picking up the phones this offseason on a potential Jordan Addison trade. Well, how about this being a little Caleb Downs trade where the Vikings send them pick number 18, Jordan Addison, and they end up acquiring the 6th overall pick in the NFL draft to select this guy, the safety out of Ohio State, Caleb Downs. Caleb Downs is the best player in this draft class by a wide margin. I think he is Kyle Hamilton 2.0. I think this guy, in terms of just what you want out of a safety, he checks every single box. And even as a true freshman back at Bama in 2023, he was still incredibly productive. He was returning punts for that football team. Kind of speaks to his athletic ability. But the last 2 years at Ohio State, he's been the backbone of that defense, very good in coverage. And, we talk about the Vikings getting that blue chipper, especially in the secondary, and your Harrison Smith replacement. Well, I think this would be a Harrison Smith replacement and possibly more. He's an elite tackler. You go throw on his highlight tape. The thing I love most about Caleb Downs is when he is tackling an offensive player, they don't get any extra yardage. He's great at the shoestring tackles, the ankle tackles that you obviously want out of your secondary players, but he's got great instincts, got a great nose for the football. He's a culture setter. Teammates, coaches from Ohio State call this guy an old soul. He's a very mature person and player out there, and he hits very, very hard. And also, what I like about Caleb Downs, I think this guy could play almost damn near every position on the football field. Like, when this guy's returning punts, or if this guy has an interception, like, he truly looks like a running back with the football in his hands. So I think he just checks every single box. And, I will say from the Vikings side of things with trading Jordan Addison, Addison's a tremendous player. He's a high-end wide receiver too, possibly even a low-end one if he does meet his full potential in the NFL. But if the Vikings don't view Addison as a long-term piece, might as well get ahead of it. Might as well try to trade him this offseason for some draft capital. And if that draft capital is improving your 18th pick, the number 6, to go get a blue chipper like Caleb Downs, I would do this in a heartbeat. But you guys let me know. Would you trade Jordan Addison? Give me a T for trade. Give me a P for pass. You guys let me know your thoughts down below in the comments section. If this is the deal, I'm doing it. Now I'm curious. I put this trade out here a couple of weeks ago, and you guys are all saying no. But I wonder if after the latest Jordan Addison news, if you guys kind of change your tune on this one. But I'll do it. You guys let me know your thoughts down below. Now another big-time trade here for the Minnesota Vikings. Will be trading top 5 player on this football team, one of the most underrated edge rushers in the National Football League, and that being Jonathan Gennard, current edge rusher for the Vikings, and you would be sending him to the New York Jets for the first pick of the second round. Now, I do think with Gennard, I am still very much against just flat out trading him just to get draft capital. Like, now, I say that to say this. If you could get the 33rd pick in the draft, the top pick in the second round, I think you at least have to consider it because, 1, you're getting a premium pick. 2, you're opening up cap space. And also 3, you're letting the young gun cook. You're going to promote Dallas Turner to be a full-time starter for this team. And with just getting rotational reps for majority of the season, Dallas Turner was absolutely fantastic. We saw the flashes with Turner where you're looking at this guy and it's like, man, he's a 22-year-old kid. He just had 8 sacks, 4 forced fumbles. He really does remind me of like a Von Miller, Brian Burns type of edge rusher where they're hyper athletes. Their closing speed is elite. And this guy, I would love to see him be an every down starter for the Minnesota Vikings. I mean, he just sounds like, or at least his tape, looks like he could be a 12 to 13 sack guy, next season if they do end up moving off Gennard. So I'm kind of in between on the Gennard trade, but if you could get the 33rd overall pick, I think I would heavily consider, at least just have a long meeting about it if I was calling the shots for the Vikings organization. So we'll get to some more crazy trades here in a second. But let me tell you guys about today's sponsor, and that is a shaving company called Harry's. And for a limited time, our listeners can get the Harry's Plus trial set for only $10 at harrys.com/chat. Now, I've tried old razors in the past, and I wasn't the biggest fan of them. I always kind of dreaded shaving my face every single day. But now with Harry's, it has completely changed how I view shaving my face. And if you guys give them a chance, you guys will think the exact same thing. Now, Harry's is designed with progressive blades for less tug and pull. And with Harry's Plus, you get a barbershop quality shave with German-engineered blades, and each blade is honed at 3 different angles to cut hair cleanly at the root without tugging, and blade spacing is optimized to glide smoothly and avoid clogging. Drugstore blades clog way too fast, and also Harry's a lot more affordable than other drugstore blades. I think that's the best part is just really how affordable it is, and Harry's owns their world-class blade factory in Germany. So there's no outsourcing or no middleman. And if you don't love your shave, Harry's will make it right. No question to ask. Risk-free trial means there's 0 downside to giving it a shot. So for a limited time, our listeners here at Vikings Now can get the Harry's Plus trial set for $10 at harrys.com/chat. This set includes all new Harry's Plus razor, 1 refined 5-blade cartridge, a 2-ounce foaming shave gel, and a travel cover to protect your blades on the go. Just head to harrys.com/chat to claim this offer, and after you purchase, they'll ask where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them we sent you here at Vikings Now by Chat Sports. Let's get to the fun trades. This is the most fun trade on today's show. Joe Burrow, Joe Cool, coming to the Minnesota Vikings, going to reconnect with his former teammate Justin Jefferson, and I think when we talk about a potential Joe Burrow trade, man, oh man. We don't even know where to start in terms of what the trade capital would be. I think it would start at 3 first-round picks. That's a baseline, and then you got to sweeten the pot a little bit. So you include a second-round pick, and you include Jonathan Grenard. If for whatever reason Joe Burrow does become available this offseason, the Vikings need to be all over it. There is no trade out there that the Vikings could put together and that they could overpay, in my opinion. I hear you on the injury history. I hear you on maybe Burrow not making the playoffs for a couple years, him not being the most successful in terms of wins, but this guy's just flat out a top 5 quarterback in the league. And I think if you do want to go toe-to-toe with the Caleb Williams, with the Matthew Stafford, and if you eventually get to the Super Bowl with the Josh Allen, Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, you got to have that guy, and Joe Burrow is that guy. And also for our guy, Justin Jefferson, this would be an easy 2,000-yard season for Jettis. I mean, he would be absolutely thrilled. This was his best friend in college. This was a guy who had, 4 touchdowns in the first half of a college football semifinal with Joe Burrow throwing him the rock. I would do it 3 first, a second, Jonathan Grenard, send it in, and get Joe Burrow to the Minnesota Vikings because instantly next season, I think we'd be the team to beat, especially if you kept Brian Flores in the NFC. All right, everybody relax. I can already see the comment section. Patrick, what the hell are you talking about? Let's talk about a potential Kevin O'Connell trade. So again, I said these trades are going to get more and more insane as the video goes on. But what if the Vikings decided to trade KOC for 2 first-round picks? What if the Steelers send you pick number 21 and a 2027 first, and they received Kevin O'Connell? You might be saying that's crazy, and I absolutely do think that's crazy. But what if you did this trade, and then you promoted Brian Flores the head coach, and then you brought back Grant Udinsky to call plays? Why not? I would still probably say no to that. Just want to have fun on the last Trade Today show, and there's no chance this ever happens. I've seen people talk about trading Kevin O'Connell. Listen, we all have our gripes with KOC. Very unlikely that this ever ends up going down. And I still think, yes, his short yardage play calling's a joke. His commitment to the run's a joke, but he is still a very, very good head coach and a very good play caller. But I'm curious to see what you guys have to say on this one. Would you accept this trade? Kevin O'Connell for 2 first-round picks. Would you accept it? Give me an A for accept or give me a D for decline. Curious to see what you guys have to say down below. And we'll get on out of here. As always, let's go Vikes.